You are observing your mind and redirecting negative thoughts to a positive focus. Love fills you, fear leaves you. You are healthy and well. You are taking care of yourself and making your needs and dreams a priority. You are transforming yourself and your life with each conscious breath, thought, word, and action. You are feeling and healing, changing and transforming, evolving and expanding. I am freeing myself of comparison and making space for understanding, empathy, and forgiveness. I am a work in progress, and I will continue to unravel and make space for ease as I learn my way and walk my path. This is a reminder to stop stressing over what it is out of your control. Shifts in life are inevitable. Do what you can, where you can. The rest will work itself out. Thank you for joining me for another episode of My Girl Speak with Key. Of course, I'm Key, and happy Wednesday. Today isn't a heavy episode like some of my others, but the message is equally as important. Love yourself more. Last weekend, I took myself out on a date. Now, I've mentioned on several episodes that I date myself, and I've talked about how I date myself properly. But last weekend, I did something a little bit different. I booked my makeup artist. I pulled out an outfit that had the tag on it that I was saving for a special occasion. And I dressed all the way up. Like, I even did a ride set on my hair. And, you know, those take time. Like, I put rollers in my hair the day before for this date. I knew I wasn't going to see a man at the bar because I wasn't going somewhere that I was used to going, for one, and that wasn't my intention. I didn't dress up for anybody else. I dressed completely up for myself. And I went to a high-end restaurant in my town. Now, I had tried this restaurant one time before, but it was for brunch, but I had never tried it for dinner. And I did it. Like, I really went on a date. Now, of course, usually when you're on a date by yourself, you sit at the bar. But this time, I asked the waitress to let me sit at a table. And I sat there. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, which my phone stays on there. But I put it on Do Not Disturb and I turned it over. I really was intentional with my time. I treated it as if I was on a date with someone else. I even had a notebook where I doodled and I just wrote letters to myself. And it was great. Like, I ordered an entree, I ordered dessert. And anyone that knows me knows that when I go out, like, I don't get an appetizer and all of that. I did all three this time. And yeah, I didn't eat it all. It was kind of for aesthetics, but that's not the point. The point is, I had a real date. Like a real one. When I had my dessert made, I had the cook put "I love you" on my plate. Like, I had a real date. And I saw people looking at me. Like, when I first started dating myself, I'm an only child, so I'm used to being alone. But the whole going out in public thing was new for me. So whenever I would go out and I would see people looking, I would always assume the worst. Like, I would assume that they thought I was lonely, or they thought that I didn't have any choices. I even convinced myself that people pitied me because I was alone and I didn't have anybody to share time with. But now I'm so comfortable with myself. To everyone that I saw look at me last weekend, I smiled and I waved at them. And I didn't have those types of thoughts. Like, I didn't have those types of insecurities anymore. Like, I was completely content with the fact that I was out and I was alone. And the date was, to be honest with you, I've been on a lot of dates with a lot of men. I mean, I'm 30. So let's talk, let's just think about it. Let's imagine how many dates I've been on. But my date with myself was the best date I've ever had in my life. Because I realized I really like me. And I've gotten to a point where I'm really comfortable with that. I said all that to say, love yourself more. Like, you don't have to be single to go on a date by yourself. You don't even have to be a woman to go on a date by yourself. I'm going to encourage all of my listeners to be more intentional and take more time with you and go on a date. After you go on a date, inbox me and tell me how it went, or email me at mygirlspeak at gmail.com and tell me how it went, because we get so caught up in titles: wife, husband, mom, dad, daughter, friend, sister. And we get so caught up in titles till we forget to be human. We forget to be us. I forgot how to be a woman. And what I mean by that, I forgot how to be a woman outside of a man, outside of my kids, just me, just Key. I got away from that, because what happens is we take our time and our energy and we pour all of it into someone else or something. And then when that leaves, or that's not around, we get lost. We don't know what to do, because we got so caught up in that relationship or that title till we forgot who we were without it. For example, when you break up, when you have a divorce or breakup or whatever, if you poured everything into that, when it's over, you feel like you have nothing left. And that's because you actually don't. You didn't leave anything for yourself. Like parents, to my parents that's listening to the show. And I'm not going to even gender base this, because I feel like this message is for men as well as women. When we have kids, you know those weekends that they go over to their other parent house, you have no idea what you're going to do with your time. Like when my son goes to his dad's house, I'm distraught. Like it's pathetic to the point of how distraught I be. Like I call so many times, and it's gotten to the point where I'm trying not to do that, because when I do that, I actually interrupt his time with his child. You understand what I'm saying? But it's because I'm so attached to my children until when they're not around, I don't know what to do. This isn't just about relationships. This isn't just about parenting. Sometimes you can get so caught up in being a friend that you're not a friend to yourself. So what I'm encouraging you to do is, even if it's not often, let's say once a month. I really want to tell you to do it twice a month, but let's start off slow. Once a month, take some time for you. And let's talk about this. Self-care is not always cute. It's not always bubble baths and candles. It's not always a nail appointment or a hair appointment. It's not always fancy dates. Self-care, the first step to that, and I know y'all tired of hearing about it. I might as well name this show the accountability series, because I talk about it on every show. But the first step to self-care is being honest with yourself and holding yourself accountable. And then once you're able to do that, you can love yourself enough to make those changes that you need to make. Whatever it is. Like I recently started going to the gym. Like one day, I've been paying for an $80 membership for months and I never went. And one day I just took a shower, and instead of putting my regular clothes on, I went to the gym. And it's been like a consistent 9 days. I haven't missed a day except for one. And it was because of the weather. I only missed 1 day working out. And not only did I do that, I've changed my diet. I've changed what I consume. But I've also changed the energy that I allow around me. Because all of that is equally important to self-care and loving me. Now, I know what I'm saying may sound cliche, but I challenge each and every one of you to try it. Take 5 or 10 minutes. If you can't take a whole day, I know for me, what I used to do before I could take myself out on dates, I lock myself in the bathroom. Because like I say on every show, I got kids and I have younger kids. And sometimes the only quietness I get is the bathroom, or it's me in my car. Sometimes that's all I have. But it started off as that. And then the time that I spent in the bathroom or in my car, I started meditating. And then the time that I started meditating, I started affirming, which is speaking affirmations to myself. And then I started believing it. On the way to the studio today, my god sister called me, and she was going through some stuff, and we were working through it. And one of the questions she asked me was, how did I start working on myself? Like, how did I start the internal work, excuse me. And what I said to her was, on Letter to Myself, I meant what I said. I talked about how I wrote notes to myself and the alarm clocks went off. Because now we're 8 years later. Now we have apps that can do that for us. But back then we didn't have all of that. So I started writing notes to myself. I started putting notes where I go, like in the bathroom, at my desk at work, anywhere that I knew I was going to go every day. I'd write a note to myself that I needed to read every day. And that's how the internal work worked for me. But like I told her, if you're sad and you're trying your best to do it on your own, don't stay there too long. Because if you're doing the work and it's not working, sometimes you may need therapy. And I said all that to say, I recently started looking for a therapist. I'm thankful for My Girl Speak with Key because I'm healing. And not only am I healing, but I'm healing out loud. And you guys are able to actually witness growth, as I go through it. So I'm thankful. But I'm hoping that if you listen to my trailer, you understand that this is a process. And I want for us to go through it together. And I hope that today that you listen to this episode and you choose you. No matter if you're in a relationship, no matter if you're married, no matter what the situation is, I hope today you choose you and you love yourself more. And remember that confidence isn't thinking you're better than other people. Confidence is realizing you're too dope to be comparing yourself to others to start with. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of My Girl Speak with Key. To follow the show, follow us on Instagram at MCS with Key. To get to know the voice behind everything, follow me at The Diary of Key on all platforms. That's Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, and Clubhouse. But on Clubhouse, please, it's too wise. You can email the show any questions or topics. I'm accepting them. I'm at mycurlspeak@gmail.com. Thanks again. See you next week.